What's up, people? Welcome to a special episode of we're covering The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 14, Look at the Flowers. Oh, I love that. I love the fact they're bringing that back. I am your host, Adam Vale, Associate Editor here at the Koalition. I'm joined by Sister Dana, who is the Entertainment Editor at the Koalition. What's up, Dana?
What is up, everyone? I am excited to be here. Can't wait to talk about this very superb episode that was much better than last week's episode.
That it was. And Richard Bailey Jr., Editor in Chief. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up, listeners and viewers? Happy to be back to talk about The Walking Dead.
Yeah, man, we got a good response from this. We were surprised because just like even the people that started responding, we really didn't know anybody give the shit still about The Walking Dead. So even when Rich was like, "Yo, people like this," I'm like, "Really?" I thought it was just a handful of us because Rich and I we always go back and forth on this, But just sort of like some of the people that commented, it doesn't. It's not in the limelight. It's not like it used to be. And it's okay. It's long in the tooth. It's been running 10 seasons. So we get it, but yeah, no, this is great. This was an amazing episode. This will go down as one of the best for this season, and eventually, as time goes on, and we start getting box sets and all the craziness, and people start putting the best storylines that they've enjoyed. This episode will be on that set because it was really good. We had a lot of stuff going on, and even beforehand, we were trying to get all the notes just to fill you in because a lot happened here. Sometimes I will link up what happens also regarding the comic. So don't be surprised if you hear some of that. And yes, there will be spoilers in this, but you'll see that in the headlines because you'll see that this is a review. So if you haven't watched it, then go ahead and watch it. Wait. But if you have or you don't care, then keep listening. Here we go. All right. So it opens up. If you continue from the last episode, now we start off with a flashback just to give some context to what happened with Carol and Negan. So you see that Negan is still in the prison at Alexandria. Carol visits and basically says, "Hey, I need you to go kill Alpha. I'll let you out if you go kill Alpha." And she needs this done quick. I don't understand why she emphasized on that, and we'll get to that later because that just keeps coming up to the point that even Negan sort of responds to, like, what's up with this that I have to be so fast with this? Everybody's trying to speed this up. But yeah, so then that was very important because then it just gives more context of, oh, they had a plan. They worked this out earlier. And that was great. So, poof. What did you think of that, Dana? Do you think that sort of little tie-in, because it wasn't that long of a segment, that they were just trying to say, hey, look, real quick, here's the backstory. She knew about it, she helped them out, and the whole thing, and this was a plan. Did you buy it?
I bought it.
You bought it?
Yes, because it was done believably, if I'm saying that correctly. And I think that it was executed so well that I believed it, and I thought that it was really well done.
What about you, Rich? You were cool with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That just lets people know that again they are staying true to the story because I'm pretty sure a lot of people was asking from 2 weeks ago when when everything went down and she said, "What took you so long?" Yeah, I'm glad they provided that backstory very briefly to explain what the deal was between Negan and Carol.
Yeah, because then that explains it. It's like, what do you mean, what took so long? And then here we go, little flashback. This is what happened. They worked out a deal. All right, so there goes that. That closes that part up. That's cool. Then we get to the present, and then you see Alpha's head is now on the spike. Carol puts the head on the spike. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's fine. Now, in the comic, it was a little different. It was more impactful, I think, because Negan goes back to Alexandria. Rick and everybody's there. At the time, Rick is still there. And he has a bag, and they're like, hey, he's back. We're going to shoot him, put him back in jail, whatever, because there was a whole crazy thing of how he, quote-unquote, escaped. And he just throws the bag out on the ground, and the head rolls out, and it's Alpha. And he's like, yeah, I killed her. And they were like, oh, wow. So that was his way of proving that, hey, I'm one of the group. Here, though, and this is what threw a curveball and all that, and I was 50-50 on this approach, is Carol puts the head on the spike. Now it's zombified, right? So Alfred doing that whole thing. Negan's like, all right, let's go back. Let's tell everybody what happened. And now I'm in the good graces. As you see, I fulfilled our agreement. I killed her. Only now you fulfill yours. You bring me back. I'm in the crew. And she says no, she's not going back. And that he's free to do whatever he wants. But clearly, what he wants is to be part of the group. He does want to be part of the group. I mean, even in fact with the Alpha and all that stuff. Besides the fact he could have stayed, he also doesn't have to kill her. He could have just left or killed her and then left. But no, he didn't. He wants to be part of the group. So she says no. She's got some issues to deal with. She wants to be alone. This is the part that I had issues with, because I'm like, in an apocalypse with all the craziness going on, with what just happened, your nemesis Alpha is now dead. Then bring this back. You should have some form of closure, right? Because that's what she kept saying. I want to kill him. Why are you doing this? I need to kill her. I do. You know what I mean? This is your closure. So what do you mean you're gonna go wander off? No. And now Negan is like, oh, he's stranded. So that's that scene. And real quick, because then I'll jump to you guys, because then this is the key part of this whole segment here. He goes back to Negan goes back to the shed where he left Lydia, and he finds Daryl there. And Daryl is pointing his crossbow, and they get in a whole little confrontation, and he shows Daryl the mask. Then Alpha Ward says, hey, look, I killed her. I slit her throat. He's like, I don't believe it. Take me to the head. What did you think of that whole piece of Carol saying she wants to wander off, and then all of a sudden at the shed, Daryl just happens to be there hanging out in the dark, because the door was closed. So it's like, what did you think of that, Rich?
Well, personally, I also wasn't really a fan of that, because I understand they were trying to basically tell the story that Carol had some regrets about how Alpha got killed. And obviously she wanted to do it herself, but she didn't do it, which is why Alpha stayed in her head for most of this episode, because she obviously had some regrets. But I think that was done just to fill in Carol's story and have her go through that struggle, only so that at the very end she can return back. So I didn't like that either. I would have preferred her just immediately making it known to basically the others that this is what Negan did. Because what I started to think was going to happen as the episode went on, I thought to myself, well, what if Carol did get killed? Then you have absolutely no proof whatsoever that that deal ever happened between her and Negan, and that this is what went down. But obviously, because Daryl and Negan had their exchange and Daryl found out, that wasn't going to happen. But I just thought I also didn't like that. But again, I figured they did that because they wanted to show the character is struggling processing the fact that she wasn't the one to take out Alpha, even though she was the one that had Negan do it for her.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, Dana, that part, right? You probably saw it too. The whole issue with her wandering. I mean, there's still whisperers out there. You still have crazy beta wandering around out there. Would you at that point, as a female yourself, say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go wander back into the woods, and I need to be alone. Does that even make sense? And I'm not even gonna be.
As a female, men do stupid things.
Men do dumb things, and that's common. We all know that. But I think Carol, they've made Carol really crazy. I'm not saying that men don't do. Men do a horrible. Hell, I just mentioned Daryl's in the fucking shed in the dark by himself with a crossbow. Was he gonna commit suicide? Probably not. But still, that was awkward. I don't understand that. But yeah, the whole thing with Carol, it really bothers me that she just decided to wander off.
Okay, here's the thing. Going back a little bit from the Koalition of the Alpha, I thought that Alpha's Koalition was more impactful than when they put the head on the spike. But in a weird way, I thought that Samantha Morton, who's the actress who plays Alpha, for some reason did a really terrific job in the woods, and also how they just portrayed the head with the whole, even though it was just her snarling and her head and her mouth opening and closing, I really still felt the spirit of her trying to communicate to others. So I just really want to say that she did a great job. When it comes to the woods part, yes, it's very easy to say that you're stupid for doing that, because in hindsight, 2020, but I felt that she really needed to go back to the woods. And she was so tormented by killing Alpha that And this, at that moment, I didn't think that she not necessarily cared that she died, but more so was accepting that if anything happened, her death in the woods, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to her. Now, we did see her get attacked later on by one of the, I guess, zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she fought them off very powerfully. But that was only, I think it was a form of her trying to get back at Alpha. Because the way how she looked when, right before she killed the zombie was with this, such anger when she
Well,
like
well,
did it.
remember during that segment that you're talking about, now she's hallucinating and she has Alpha as
Right.
the hallucination in the background, just talking to her. It's like, oh, you see what you did. Now you regret it. You shouldn't have done it, and this whole big thing. So she's having, that brings up the point. She is having issues. You know, what I mean, for personally me, if I was there, I would not have chosen that option. I was like, you know what, the head is here. I wouldn't even put it on a spike for what. To bring it back, but like, look, dang, Don,
Well,
the witch is dead. You know what I mean? I was like, no, there's no reason to leave it there unless you're going to
well,
antagonize and instigate it, because you know that was left for Beta. Because I mean, it looked like it was on the same hilltop of where all the other heads were, right?
that's exactly that is exactly why she did that, because she knows what happened to Henry. Um, that was his fate. His head was left on a spike. So I guess she thought, an eye for an eye. This is exactly how I want Alpha to be remembered in the very end. So that's why I figured why she did that.
But can I say one thing about the woods thing? I think that her going back was more of like a metaphor. Like she was actually in the woods, but what I mean, but the woods itself represent a lot as a part of her journey and confusion and trying to, go on that quest and to cleanse yourself of what you may have done. So that's why I kind of didn't mind the fact that she wandered the woods.
And then I'll go back to what I had mentioned before when she was like, oh, what took so long? She brings it up here again. She was like, oh, what took so long? But what took so long? I was like, what do you mean? I had to get close to her. And it's because she feels she burnt that bridge with Daryl, with his, quote unquote, love interest, with the cave and all that stuff. So and maybe that's another reason why she didn't want to go back. But on the other hand, you're sort of making up for it. You go back, and even if Daryl's bitter about the whole thing, it's like, hey, this is a plan I had with Negan. We killed Alpha. So there was some good, if you want to call this good out of it. But yeah, so she goes wandering off. She's hallucinating. Now we cut away. Now for those, there's a lot going on in this episode because it rotated around. We have the Daryl and Negan, right? That's what we just talked about there in the little cabin over there with Lydia. And Lydia's not there. Okay, so it's just Daryl and Negan. Then we have Carol hallucinating with Alpha. Then now we're jumping because there's 4 parts of this. Now we're going to back to the hilltop, and we have Eugene telling the group, sort of confessing, hey, I've been talking with this girl Stephanie on the radio for a while, and I'm going to go meet up with her. And people start freaking out at first. They're going to jump on, oh, who is this person? It's going to be a trap, da, 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 da. But hey, Ezekiel, who I'm so happy is still part of the show. I love the fact that he's still there, And he says, hey, we don't know. This might work out. We could always use new allies, and we just can't close the door like that. So if Eugene believes in this, then I'm backing him. I'll go along. And also Yumika, Magna, that whole couple, if you want to call it a couple, because they go back and forth.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, because they obviously were a couple beforehand. Wasn't she the lawyer for Magna, right? With all the...
Yep.
Yeah, so they have some issues going on, but she also says she's going along. So there we go. We got the 3. And this is very reminiscent of the comic when Eugene tells the group that he's going, and it was Michonne and another... I forgot his name, blanking on his name, but there was 3, but it's definitely Michonne with Eugene on a third person, and they said, all right, we're going to go on this journey. But it's cool. So they decided to throw in Ezekiel on that spot, and that's great. So now that's prepared. They prepare that whole thing. Magna and Yumika have a little a segment where it's like, oh, you're leaving again. Yeah, go. Don't I need you? No, you don't need me. You can go. I'm not connected to that story, which is, if you haven't noticed.
Oh,
I'm not.
Whoa.
Because Magna doesn't play the part that she does in the comic. It's a strong role in the comic, and it's not a strong role in the series. It's very forgettable. I don't care. So it's whatever. I could have brushed off. They gave him a little segment, to try to build that connection, but I'm not getting it. I don't know if you guys picked up. Were you looking forward to it? Did you enjoy that one-on-one that they were having?
Well,
Dana or Rich?
No.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dana.
Well, no, not really. I don't because I don't like romance in my Walking Dead segments.
Oh, whoa.
I'm dead inside, so it's okay.
All right, so I personally didn't care. They didn't really, I don't really care about that segment, but I will say that the conversation between Jerry and Ezekiel, to me, that is foreshadowing, because that was like that was pretty much a goodbye between them, because I do believe that the horde that we will talk about later, they're going to definitely either take out them people that are at that location right now, or hey, something's going to happen with Ezekiel. But yeah, that scene between him and Jerry, because for the longest time Jerry always referred to him as king, master, etc. And when they had the conversation, when he ended the conversation by saying Ezekiel.
Yeah.
So
well, that too, and then also he was playing with his kids. Jerry was playing with his kids because his kids got home safe from everything that happened in the previous episode, and hanging with his wife. They definitely pointed out the touchy feelings with Jerry on this one. So yeah, anything's possible. It's The Walking Dead. We see people drop like flies on this. So
yeah,
when they do that, someone's dying.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
All right, so then now for the fourth part, because this is the rotation, now it's Beta and Two Whisperers, aka Goon 1 and Goon 2, and they go up on the hill. It's still daylight, so I don't know. They just missed Negan and Carol. Carol's probably still off in the distance, and they see Alpha's head on the spike, and Beta loses it. He loses his shit. Even with the mask, you can tell just by looking at his eyes, he's losing it. And he's like, he's like, do you hear her? And then Goon 1's like, what? She's dead? You're the new Alpha. And he flips out. He does not want that responsibility. He did not like that comment. And if you remember how Alpha met up with him, he was lost. He had lost his freaking mind. And he was pretty much barricaded in that building there. So he needed someone to follow. There's some people like that. They're not leaders or followers. Nothing wrong with that. They're soldiers that just do what they're told, and that's his role, and that's what he was looking for. And she filled that, and she died, and now he felt lost. And so when Goon 1 says, "Oh, you're now the Alpha, like you got the juice now, boss," and he did not like that remark. And next, in a weird way. At first I thought he was just doing a punishment, but then I'm thinking later on, and I will get to it later, maybe he is hearing voices, because he was like, you hear her? Do you hear what she's saying? And he's like, no. He's like, no, I'm not here. Get closer. Get closer. So basically he grabs Goon's one head, and he shoves it over, and she starts chomping on his ear. So now he's going to turn. He's screwed. So he pulls the goon away from her, and he grabs the head and he cradles it like it's a baby. He's distraught, and he puts the head in the bag. Now they're going back. All right, so there goes that. Then we jump to Carol, and this is the part where Dana, you were referring to, where she fights with the goon, because now as she's walking, it looks like Alfred's with her the entire time, just mumbling stuff, talking about all the mess ups, talking about Sophia. It's been a long time since they mentioned Sophia. So that was pretty interesting that they brought that back. But then again, the title of the episode is Look at the Flowers. And if anybody even types that in, Walking Dead, Look at the Flowers, you'll get that to that episode, which was another impactful episode with Carol, And so she starts losing it. She doesn't know what's going on. Alpha is saying, hey, you got issues, it's all the regrets and this and that, and then she sort of starts zoning out when a zombie jumps out from within the woods like they do, and she killed it, and she just walks off, and then almost like a comedic moment where Alpha does a little kickback joke. She was like, well, no, you're still something else hiding, you're still hiding something else. That's not it, because she was like, I need to be alone. It's like, no, there's something else. You're hiding something else. All right, so then now, I mean, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, because there really wasn't much. I mean, do you think? All right, now this is. I'm going to ask a question, because this is related to that. Is this a medical issue that's occurring, or is this something else? Because remember before, a few episodes back, where she was taking those pills to stay awake and she was seeing things? Do you think it had something to do with that, where she just needs sleep, and that's why she's pulling a Fight Club moment and just seeing Alpha everywhere? Or you think she's just mentally going crazy? Dana.
No, I think, well, Alpha, we obviously know, is a hallucination. She's not really there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the easy way to explain it would be because of the pills.
Yeah.
You know, kind of reminiscent to the whole, yeah. I think, but because of that hallucination, I feel that it's also driven by her own guilt. So it's a combination of both.
All right. What about you, Rich? What do you think with that?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what Dana said. It definitely is a combination of both because, again, I'm pretty sure she still feels guilty about what happened to Daryl's other girlfriend and the fact that they got stuck. And obviously, they said that character didn't make it, but we didn't see a dead body, so I'm going to assume that maybe you might see that character at a later time. But
yeah, I agree with that. That was the first thing that I guessed when they were like, "Oh, it closed up," and all right, so it closed up on the top. It's a cave.
Yeah,
so there's a good chance she's going to survive. She's going to pop up. I think she'll be back.
But I do think that in terms of Carol with this episode, very much like Beta, both of the characters had to go on a bit of a journey to figure out what the purpose is. I don't really think that Carol is totally, forgotten about what happened with the, her feeling the guilt, but we'll see how that turns out. But they are both on a collision course towards each other because we already know that Beta definitely going to come after all the others now that he knows that Negan was involved in killing Alpha. So you got to stay tuned for that.
So then now we cut back to Beta with the two goons. Now, Goon 1 that had his ear chomped on, he's still there, but he's, in pain walking with them. And they get to, this was very interesting because it looked like it was a small town, right? It looked like it was a town. They weren't going back to the little camp that they had out in the woods. I don't know where they were going, but they go wandering off into this town, and there's a bunch of walkers there. And the walkers start walking toward Beta, and he just stands there. And Goon 1 with the messed up ear is like, I don't know why he feels he needs to do this to show his loyalty, because, you're going to turn anyway. You just got bit. But he decides to jump in front of Beta to look like he was going to defend him. And then Beta's just like, no. He stabs him and throws him on the ground. They didn't really show it, but he definitely throws him on the ground. And then the walkers just go and start chomping on him. Right? Now, what happened? I didn't see. What happened to the Goon 2, the other guy that was with him?
He disappeared.
He does, right? He disappears because at that point...
Yeah, he ran away.
Oh,
he ran away.
That's right. He freaked out when he saw that. It was very quick. He freaks out when he sees what Beta did, and he runs off. Right. So then he goes into this building, and this is a very key part and crucial, not to just this episode, but to the whole story, especially in regards to Beta, because he gets there into this house, and he looks around, and he sees a poster, and the poster says... Half Moon, live, says September, a date, see a living legend, right? Live or living legend, or it was some within that wording, basically a live performance. And then he puts on a record, and it sounds like him. So this whole thing that everybody was like, well, he must be someone famous, because when we were first introduced to Beta, way back when Alpha was introduced also, she sees his face, and she goes, oh. So that was one of the guesses, right? Either it's really messed up or he's famous. And I think that's what was going on here. He is famous. He was part of a band, and he was probably the singer because the record sounded a lot like him. And he's playing the record, and he's just lost. Again, he's got Alpha in the bag, and he's looking out on a balcony area, just going nuts. The music's blasting super loud. Walkers from all over are coming closer to this house, which is 2 stories. So he's lost right now. Now this is him grieving, just not sure what's gonna happen. All right, so now let's switch again. We go back to before I switch, did you guys pick up anything special in that scene? Because I know was it Dana or Rich? You were able to read. He picked up a note. Would you read that? What he picked up?
Actually, yeah, I don't recall what that note said in particular. Um, all I remember pretty much from that scene is that obviously when he did get in, uh, obviously there's a little bit of a struggle to make a return to his home. I'm going to just call it his home because he did damage his guitar,
That's
break the
right.
guitar.
That's right.
Yep.
That's the other sound. He ripped the poster off and then started
Yep.
smashing the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then in that process of grieving, that's when he started playing the music, and then that's when the horde just kept building right in front of the house. Yeah.
So at that point, I don't know about you, Dana, but I thought this was his way of just saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna call all the walkers over here, and then I'm just gonna walk downstairs, take my mask off, and let them eat me.
Right.
Like that. That's what I got from it. This was him giving up, playing the music, and calling him over, and that was it. You know, but we find out later that there's another motive. All right, so then now we do another jump, and this time it's back to Daryl and Negan, and Daryl still has his crossbow. Negan now has his hands tied behind his back, and they're headed over to where Alpha's head was on the spike. Of course, we know the head's not there. He's like, I put the head here. Daryl calls bullshit on it. They get into a whole little back and forth. This is a trap. You're full of shit. Blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, you got couple of whispers come out of the woodwork over there. And are like, oh, you killed him. You got the juice now. They get him to me. You're the new Alpha. The issue I had with this is how do they know he killed Alpha? Now, the only thing I could think of is what we had mentioned earlier, that goon number 2 that was with Beta that ran off. Did he tell everybody? But then why tell them go back to the spike? Because the head's not there. He knows Beta has the head. So then goon number 2 wouldn't tell everybody, if you don't believe me, go to where the spike is. Oh, I forgot, there's no head. No. So how do they know that? That I don't get.
I just assumed that they know that he was the last one that was with Alpha, so they assume
He
that he was
mentions
the
that.
one that
He
could.
does mention that. But the thing is,
Yeah.
they don't know that she's dead. There's no body. So then why didn't they just say, hey, where's Alpha?
Yeah, well, that's a
that's
good
what I'm saying.
question.
I was like, hey, where's Alpha? Maybe she was captured because we see that you're captured because you got, Daryl with the crossbow. So they could have just, and one of the guys had a shotgun. He should have just blasted Daryl. I'm just saying, if I'm one of the whispers, and I'm assuming at this point that I think Negan is one of us, and I see a guy with a crossbow behind him, I'm like, yo, I don't see Alpha. He probably has Alpha somewhere, and now he's doing something with Negan. I'm gonna blast him, at least in the leg, get him on the ground and drop the crossbow. But no, what's going on, Rich?
Well, if this show wasn't on AMC and the character wasn't popular, then that would have been a hell of a way to just take out the character, just randomly, just get shot, blasted by just a goon type character. That would have been funny.
They take out popular ones that way too.
Yeah, they do. That's the thing. They don't hold back. They don't hold back. They definitely don't hold back. So then they kneel down. They were like, "Oh no, you're the one. You're the guy. You're the new Alpha." And so the roles reverse. All right. So now this is another jump. And then again, if maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but it's a lot. There's a lot of daylight and night shots because that was a night shot. But then we still saw Carol in the day. And then it's sort of still day or going to dusk regarding the beta scene. But anyway, now we cut to Ezekiel, Yumika, and Eugene. And they're on a highway road headed to a big city. Now, this was a big scene in the comics because in the comics it was like Michonne was very against this. She felt everything was a trap, which makes sense because it's a city. There could be tons of people, good, bad, walkers, you name it. And she wanted to go around it and do something. They're like, hey, it's going to take too long. We have to do this. All right. That doesn't get discussed here. They just keep going forward. It's like, hey, you think there's anybody here? Eugene gives his little snarky remark. There's absolutely. Just like there's a chance of, a baby being born. There's no chance of a baby being born with a full set of teeth. So there's definitely going to be people here. So as they're going through the town, they notice something interesting. They notice they're seeing walkers tied up, propped in different situations. Dana, you had fun with this.
I love this so much. It was like it reminded me of a Westworld
Yeah.
scenario
Yeah.
where it was a museum, and everyone was kind of in their own separate scenarios, and it was like the zombies playing cards. They was out in the porch enjoying the weather. There was that whole the cop car situation where he was trying to steal the car,
Yeah.
and the cop was gonna arrest him, but they're all handcuffed zombies, just kind of stuck in their own little world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just so brilliantly and hilariously done that I need an entire backstory of that area.
Well, you're gonna find out more of that, but I just realized we just jumped the gun on one little part, and that was the part that we all agreed that was like pointless. Right before they get to the main road, they encounter the three, Eugene, Yumika, and Ezekiel. They encounter two or three zombies behind it. Ooh, it looked like a weird looking cage fence thing, and they decide to clear the area off, and that's where he starts showing signs that he is ill. Again, at this point, Eugene does not know. Yumika does not know. And Eugene does. And then Ezekiel starts talking about, oh, maybe I should go back. I might hold you guys back. And she's like, what are you talking about? We made it this far. We don't know what's on the other side. This could be good. They do this little moment. But again, I feel it's pointless only because Ezekiel at that point could have said, hey, I got cancer. This is what's going on. I figured I'd make one last run to make a difference for the group. And right now, I don't think I'm up to it. I could barely kill these few walkers here. I'm having a lot of trouble health-wise. He should have told her. He doesn't.
No. Pride.
Pride. Ugh, come on. You're putting each other's lives at risk right now.
Well.
What do you think, Rich?
Well, this was done so that it's going to be a much more dramatic effect when he actually, if he does, die in the fact of sacrificing himself to save those two or something else later on down the road. I think they did that intentionally so that it's going to be more emotional when that character makes his exit from the show.
Okay. All right. So
he doesn't need to tell anyone.
Doesn't need to tell. All right. We'll get to those little points toward the end of this because I got my own view on that. All right. So now that we cleared that little part up, that's what happened right before they get there. All right. So now we see the staging. He cracks up. Just at the part that you were talking about with the guy zombie stealing the car,
right.
The cop trying to, Ezekiel loses his shit and starts cracking up. And then that's when we see Princess. Yeah, Princess. Fans of the comic know Princess. She's pretty much one of the newer comic relief characters that joins the group. And she is, I'm not going to give any stuff away because we're going to get introduced to her. But just know she's a great character. She's fun. She's a little loopy, all kinds of stuff. She's somewhat feral. She's been out on her own for a while. As you can see, she's the one that did the staging with all that stuff. She's just having fun with what she has around her. So she is definitely going to be an interesting character. And I'm glad that they introduced her in the way they did. Because it's just like the comic. They were on the road and then poof, and it's like, oh, and she's colorful. She's got the jacket, she's got the glasses, she's got the Spanglish accent going on. She's very urban, and it's cool, and that's what we need, especially if you're walking through a city. This is what you want to come across. And I enjoyed her character in the comic book, and I'm glad they introduced her into the series, especially now, because this is very fitting. So then, poof, that's it for them. We can close that part off for this episode. Last we see of them. All right. So then the next part is we go back to where Daryl and Negan are. Well, no. One more, because there's still three more. Carol goes into a barn, and she still has Alpha yapping in the background. She's trying to avoid her, and she sees that there's a boat tied up on the top in this barn, and she tries to loosen it, and the whole thing collapses on her. So now she's covered in debris and whatever else was on the top of that barn. The second story there, and everything falls on her, and she's just buried under this rubble. Right, so then while she's buried there, it's at night. Okay, so just take that into consideration. It's at night. Now we then cut back to where Daryl and Negan, roles have reversed. Daryl is now on his knees. The Whispers are standing up. Negan is there giving a speech. He's like, oh, wow, this feels good. I have that power. Oh, I love it. He's like, but I don't feel like the man. I'm not the one with the shotgun. And so Alpha, one of the Whispers says, oh, yeah, here, take the shotgun. So he gives him the shotgun, and he starts saying, oh, this must what it feels like to have a newborn baby. It feels great. And then next poof, he does give a little remark to Daryl about, I forgot what he said to him. He says some little remark to him, and then he was like, "If you're gonna kill me, just kill me," or something like that. And then he's like, "All right," and then he takes a gun and then he points it at the Whisperers and he kills the Whisperers. And then that's when Daryl's like, "All right, just cut the ropes, free my hands," because they had tied him up. So they have their own little moment. And Rich, you had more to say about this than I did, because it was like a very awkward. For me, it was like there was a scene in the comics way back, similar to something like this, that Negan and Rick had. And now that we know Rick, he's gone. He's doing the movie version. Whatever. I don't think he's gone from the series. I think we'll see him come back, but he's gone from this, and it's replaced with Daryl. And it's a similar type of discussion of where Negan's head is at this point. But you seem to enjoy this scene. So what did you get from this little bonding moment between Daryl and Negan?
Yeah, the only thing that I enjoyed about the scene is once again the fact that they're using callbacks. They have their conversation, and Negan admits that he enjoyed being a part of the group with Alpha because he felt like he was important. And he said, but then Alpha took it too far because he said, "You never kill someone who doesn't deserve it, and you definitely do not kill kids." And that was a direct callback to what we know about Negan and his history. He's never killed a kid. Doesn't believe in killing women either. So that was important because, again, if you've been watching the show from the very beginning, to see that they're once again doing these callbacks, similar to the Look at the Flowers callback with Carol. If you've been watching that it's a good investment to see that, yes, they are referencing stuff that happened in the past, unlike WWE that doesn't reference anything.
Whoa, throwing some curveballs there. That's another show that we do called WrestleCast. Tune in on those. Those are usually Friday nights for pay-per-views. I'm doing a plug for that one. But you know what? We don't have any pay-per-views right now. But you know what? One of the other things with that, what you just said, and now that I think back, is sort of implying that he could have stayed with them. If Alpha didn't have this whole vendetta against Lydia to go kill, maybe he would have stayed. And I think also the whole thing with the Hilltop, he was against that. That was the other thing. He was against going there and killing because he knew they were just innocent people. He was like, "Yeah, there's no need to do that. Let's just keep going." I think he would have stayed because he was pretty much guaranteed a right-hand spot because he saw that, wait a minute, Beta is not a love interest, nor does he want to be. So he's just the hired gun. He's just a soldier. So he could be the right hand to Alpha if he wanted that.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
So
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, so I mean, at the end of it, Daryl says, pretty much he still has one eye open. He doesn't fully trust him, but he sees where he's coming from now of how that whole thing pans out.
And one last point that I will make very quickly is I will be very curious to see what's going to happen when Maggie returns, because we already know that Maggie never really forgave Negan. So I'm very curious to see how that dynamic is going to be, as well as the others, because Aaron also, he was the one that saw Negan when he had on the mask the previous week and was trying to go after him, but he couldn't get him because he got swarmed by zombies. So I'm very curious to see how the others, because they didn't address that in this episode, how the others are going to view Negan.
Oh, yeah. No, because that it hasn't even gone to that point, because right now, as you know, we just said it's just Daryl and Negan.
Yeah.
So we don't know how that other part is. But we get to the next part, and this is now, it's daylight. See, and that's it. All right, well, I want to ignore the whole daylight and all this, because it frustrates me. It frustrates me because it's like, what is happening? It's not multiple days. We know it's not multiple days. This is all supposed to be happening within that one day in different areas. So we have the three that ventured off on their journey. We have the Daryl situation with Negan, and we have the Carol doing her thing, and it's a bunch of stuff. So anyway, so Carol now, she's waking up. It's light out now. She's still there, and of course, Alpha's still there, mouthing off, blaming her for everything, and just saying, you know what, just accept it because there's a walker on its way. It hears you screaming or moaning or whatever it is, just smells, but there's a walker approaching. She's under this debris, looks like she's trapped, and this walker's about to have a face sandwich because that's it. She's and the best part, and that leads to the title of the episode, is like, she said, "Don't worry, Carol. look at the flowers, you know, and that sort of, for anybody like us that watched the show since the beginning, we're like, oh yeah, look at the flowers, and that picture pops up in our head, and I guess it triggers something in her as well, because that's when she just goes into that rage mode. It's like, no, I'm not going out like this, and she starts squirming her way out, and eventually gets out and kills the walker. Right, so she's out of it. She collapses because she's still injured. She's still tired, and Alpha is still there and sees her. And it's just a weird scene because it's like, I thought at that point she would snap out of it. You know what I mean? She woke up from whatever days that she was going through, and it's like, I'm not looking at the flowers. I'm not giving up. And she killed the walker, and I thought that would be it. That she'll look out at the sun and be like, I'm back. But no, Alpha's still there. So, Dana, what did you get from that whole segment?
Well, again, Alpha is still a part of her consciousness. So
you think this is going to be long term? You think this is it for like the entire remainder of this series? She's going to have.
Oh no.
No.
Like
but
Dexter with his dad.
Well, Dexter was lost, and the father provided help.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Carol's lost, and she has manifested Alpha, and even Alpha mentions that. She's like, you could have had anybody give you these speeches and pop up. You picked me because you know I get things done. So that was interesting, that part. So what do you think of that?
I don't see her being there for long term, but I don't mind it being, no more than 3 episodes, no more. This is something that she herself is going to have to be able to say goodbye to and defeat. And I just don't think that right now she's at that moment. She's vulnerable mentally. And, the guilt is just still there with her. And it's going to take a little while for her to get over that. So I didn't have any problems with her being there. And, she thought that she could get her away, but she's not ready yet. I don't think so.
Yeah. And then shortly after that, the next scene with Carol is she's back at Alexandria because they have the big gate. Hilltop does not have that. They have the big gate. And Daryl's there, and he just lets her in. And it brings back to what you said, Rich. How did the rest of the people react with Negan? Is Negan even there with them? Did something else happen? But I guess we'll find that out in the next episode.
Yeah. And one quick comment I want to make, because you asked Dana the question about is this whole thing with Alpha going to continue? See, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that those hallucinations are over. And I say that because after she escaped, for 2 reasons. Number one, after she escaped, she looked up again. Alpha wasn't there. And then the other thing is that
she wasn't there. I could have swore she was still standing over.
Alpha, I think, appears when she's needed or when she wants to annoy her.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. But then the other reason why I say I feel as though that's it for Alpha, because then when you get back to what happened with Beta at the end of this episode and the fact that he stabbed the head, I thought that's it. There's no need to, because now Beta is taking on the responsibility to be the one that's going to lead the charge against everyone else. So you don't need to still have
spoiler.
Alpha. Oh well, no. Well, I think that's obvious. Though.
Well, no, we're gonna get to that now because that's the last scene of this episode.
Yeah.
Is it? All right, keep going, Rich.
But yeah, again, she can still come around as hallucinations, but to me, it felt like that could be it because again, she was anticipating that Carol was gonna die at that moment. Carol didn't, and then I think it was about Carol finding herself again, trying to get an understanding, because there really was no reason for her not to go back right after you saw that Alpha was already dead, and then just the wandering. But she went through that journey for a reason, so I would think that that's it for Alpha right now, but we'll have to see what the long-term plans are for them, because I do agree with what Dana said. Samantha Morton did an excellent job in this episode. With the way she was talking with Carol the whole time. So I think that was the showcase episode for her to do that. But we'll see if that continues. I don't know, but I don't think. I mean, it can go either way. But we'll have to see what they do with that.
And the final scene and segment, I should say, for it is back with Beta, mourning, going nuts. There's a horde outside of his house, and he's just standing there, and I guess he hears her, right? In a way, like we don't hear it, but something happens where he takes Alpha's head out of the bag and just stares at her, and he's like, "I hear it. I now know what I need to do. Thank you." And he says something to that effect, and then he puts a knife in the head, and there goes zombie Alpha head. And then he decides to walk outside. Or before that, he pulls something off his face. What was it? Was that a piece of the mask? I thought he was going to take the mask off.
Yeah, it was a piece of the mask, and what I imagined or what I thought they were trying to symbolize, because when you saw him again, it looked like there was another piece of another mask. I thought maybe that other piece is a piece of Alpha.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. So I thought that would have been crazy if when he walks outside he was wearing Alpha. Oh, that would have been nice. But anyway, so he says that, kills her. He steps out through the door. Again, he's still all with his getup, and he has the mask. And the zombies don't attack him. They just let him walk through the crowd, and they start following him, which I don't get. That's the one part I don't get, because I get how they would hoard them together. Remember, they would have to make different noises. He doesn't make any noise. He just walks, and then they decide to follow him. And they follow him out, and you see his mask, and you sort of see something underneath it. So, maybe that's it. Maybe he does happen. Maybe we will get freaked out eventually and see that. That'd be a cool scene, right? He's standing in front of Alexandria, and you just see Alpha's face on this big monster of a man. Well, So, and then he wanders off, and then that's the end of the episode. All right. So a lot happened here. They didn't mention anything about Michonne. I'm sure they'll say something real quick.
Still in the woods.
There goes that. She's gone. Yeah, whatever. That part's done. But this is going to be good from here on. The sad part, and just to bring us back to reality, we have this whole COVID-19 situation going on, and we were informed that the final two-part, this is going to be a two-part finale, 15 and 16. 16, it hasn't yet to be filmed, and it looks like that's on hold. And that sucks. That really does suck.
We'll have the kids one to tie us over eventually.
Did they have any episodes, or did they? Because from what I read, they decided to push the premiere up of Killing Eve to replace that part.
Killing Eve was up 2 weeks. Beyond Worlds got pushed back to, I think it was a whole month.
All right.
Let me get the exact.
Have you guys watched Killing Eve? Killing Eve is a great show.
I love it.
Yeah, see, we should cover that one. We should go into that for season 3, because Killing Eve is very good. Very good show.
It's the best villain I've ever, one of the best.
Yeah, she's cool. She's cool. She's an amazing actress too. The way she can flip it on and off with the different accents and stuff. It reminds me of the character that was in Orphan Black. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember? It was that was Orphan Black. Yeah. How she would switch from different characters, and that's what I get from that actress in Killing Eve. So we saw that that's being pushed up because they already know that the Walking Dead part has not
Beyond
finished.
World it's now just later this year. It doesn't even have a date. It was supposed to premiere April 12th. Now it's like, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't.
Because maybe it might tie in to the finale of Walking Dead.
It could.
Why they can't release that until they actually film the end of Walking Dead.
Okay, all right. So then this little part here, now that the episode's gone, we've already discussed it. So let's just throw in a little 2 cents of predictions of where we think this is going to end up. And I'll just start this off, at least for the 3 when it comes to Ezekiel, Eugene, and Yumika. Because I think, for me, that's the most important part. That was, out of all the stuff going on here, like I mentioned in the last episode, I've read the comic to the finale and it's done. I know at least if they go down the path, that's where they're going to go. But the curveball with all this for me, and that's why I found it interesting, is with those three, with Eugene and Ezekiel and Yumika. Because, like you mentioned and we all discussed, Ezekiel has cancer, but it's treatable if he had the proper equipment. Now, if they continue on with the story that they're going, Stephanie is over at the Commonwealth. And the Commonwealth is a large, massive community. I mean, it surpasses what Ezekiel had with the Kingdom. It's they got their own football team, they got stores, restaurants, and they have a hospital. And what I'm thinking is that this is what helps him, that he gets there and they're like, oh yeah, we can treat your cancer. We can treat this if it hasn't gotten to that stage. That's it. We don't know how far along it is. We know he says he's sick. He doesn't know, and it's I forgot what form it was, but it's one that if you catch early, it is treatable. It's
throat cancer.
It's throat cancer. All right, what thyroid?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's very treatable if caught early, and that's what he had discussed. He was like, it's hard to believe I have the cancer that is the most treatable with a high success rate for removal, and I can't even get treatment. I don't even have that. Well, everything could change if he gets over there, because I have a feeling in the comics he died early. Not died early, but to the point he was when he met up with the Whispers, he was one of the heads on the spike.
Yeah.
So the fact that they didn't kill him off, and we've had so many key characters leave the show, tells me he is sticking around for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I agree with you, Rich. Jerry's gonna kick the bucket. Something's gonna happen. It's gonna be sad. You know, it's definitely gonna be sad. But I definitely, and who knows, maybe they'll throw something with Magna too over that. But I definitely think that he's going to get a second chance at life with this whole thing. That's the key part of him being part of the journey to the Commonwealth, because he didn't have to go. Why send him? Or why did he choose to go? For the story's sake. It doesn't do anything unless it links in some way, which is the health issue, and we have a hospital, we could cure you. So I think that's what's going to happen, and then he'll definitely come back later on. But it's tricky only because of all the timing and how they're squishing this together. Now, I don't know if maybe you guys can help me. If they discuss this, the showrunners, do they plan on 12 seasons, or is next season, do you think, going to be the last season for The Walking Dead?
I think right now it kind of depends on what's going on with COVID-19.
You think that impacts the series itself?
I think that is, because how long is it going to take for him to come back?
Well, even if it, I don't know. I mean, everything gets pushed. Everything gets pushed. Yeah, who knows? Actors could have other contracts and responsibilities based off of time, and they say, hey, I can't come back to film this. I have this show or this movie that I'm doing, and I can't make it. I don't know. That's a good point.
Well, we know for sure that they are at least writing season 11 now remotely. So I personally think that it can be 12 seasons, because they want to see what happens with this new show whenever that debuts, and then of course you still have Fear the Walking Dead. But I if I had to make a guess, and I think you already made the guess as well, you said that this show should be done like in another 2 years or so.
Yeah.
It should have been
because if I'm going along the timeline of the comic, and people are like, oh, why'd you bring it up? Well, because they're really tying into it. They, as much as they say they like to divert, they don't. They throw little strands here and there, but they really are following the comic. And sometimes it's frame by frame, like the whole introduction of Princess and stuff like that. So if that's the case, there was a whole season in the comic just dedicated to Beta as the leader. And there's two big battles that Beta has with Alexandria and with that crew. So there was one that we're about to see, and if they decide to go the second round, which was even bigger. So it depends on how they decide to do this. They may just say, you know what, not two, just one. And if they do that, then okay, then they're sort of rushing it, because that in the trade, that was one long segment. And then they jumped over to Hilltop after that, after the Great War with the Whisperers. They then jumped over to the Commonwealth and all the issues that happens there. But in the show, as we're seeing, because there's so many moving pieces, we have those two colliding. We have Beta now with doing his revenge trip, and then we also have Eugene and already venturing off to the Commonwealth. So it's sort of mushing them together, mashing them. What is the word I'm looking for? Mashing them together. Which sort of tells me, what are they trying to say, that next season is the last season? Because if that's the case, they could wrap it up next season.
Well, comic book wise, how much story is left?
That's what I was saying. There's a lot. There's a lot, only because the Great War that they have with the Whisperers continues with Beta. Beta, that is crazy, and I'm not going to give any spoiler what happens there. Because that, if you don't know, if you really want to know, go read the comics on that one. That Great War, that was, a lot happens in that. And it can continue on. I don't know if it's enough to drag out a full television season because of what happens. And it also involves the Saviors getting involved again. And people are like, what do you mean the Saviors? Even in the show, they talked about the Saviors still have their own crew, remember?
Yeah.
So,
if I had to make a prediction, and obviously I didn't read the comic, but if I had to make a prediction, I think that the next episode is going to be a very tough wait to get to episode 16 because it's probably going to be a cliffhanger, and that finale is going to be maybe the finale where a lot of people get killed, and then you have to wait till next season to see what the retaliation is going to be with the people who survived.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, and what part Maggie plays.
Yeah,
that's going to be the other issue, and this is, this is my wild guess. And if anybody listening and they're like, oh, well, maybe, and this is jumping ahead, just jumping ahead. We know Maggie left. We know that she's probably doing something else in the world. Just saying Maggie, the character. The actress left the show, whatever, came back. Her previous show got canceled. Anyway, I'm just saying, how do they reintroduce her? What if they reintroduce her as the person who's now running the Commonwealth?
That's a possibility.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that, I don't want to... The reason why I say that is because in the comic, toward the end of the run of the series, she is a big boss. She's pretty much a governor. And in the Commonwealth, the conflict that they have, that Rick and his crew have with the Commonwealth, is the governor. Which is, when I remember reading, I'm like, another governor? We just had the governor, within the story. Now we're dealing with another one. There's some other variants with this one as opposed to the previous governor. But still. So what if that's the curveball with this? It's like, hey, Maggie's back, but this is a case. And the only issue with that is that, what about her son? She still has her son. And the son is still with the people at Hilltop, right?
Yeah.
So that's where that sort of ruins my curveball. But I'm just thinking of an interesting way to reintroduce her with a power role. Because I don't know how they're going to just show her up. But, hey, I was just here on the road. Where are you guys going? You know what I mean? I don't know if she just shows up at the gate one day. Who knows? Maybe that's just how they throw her back into it. But I was under the assumption that she was supposed to pop up in this season. I'm surprised that it's gone this far and she hasn't popped up. Because they had talked about, is she going to be in next season? This is before the season started. And they said, yes, we've confirmed she's coming back. So I guess it will probably be just a cameo.
Well, I think, once again, this is going to be what I say about it's going to be a long wait to see what happens next season, because she could very well show up in the finale, if not next week. And then people are going to be waiting, because that will get more anticipation for you to see what happens next season, to know now that she's back on the show.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, overall, I think this was a solid episode. Compared to the last one, wasn't fond of that one. But this was good. This was a lot going on. They crammed in a lot of storylines for all these characters. There's some that we didn't see. We don't know what's going on with all of them. But for a large majority, we now know. And some of the stuff has wrapped up. Some of the storylines. The whole thing with Alpha, that's done. Now we know what's going on. Beta's going to be in charge. Okay, that's been set up in place, and with the three that are already venturing off to the Commonwealth, meeting up with Princess. That's great. That's going to spin off to some interesting stories. And with Negan and how they create that vibe around him and the role that he plays. It's going to be interesting. Very interesting to see how they do all that. So, there goes that, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our review of Season 10, Episode 14, A Look at the Flowers for The Walking Dead. We will be back for the next episode. We definitely know that they did film Episode 15, so that's a go, and who knows when 16, but at least we'll be back for that one. So, thanks for watching. Check out the rest of the site over at Koalition.com. We got plenty of material from TV shows, movie reviews, game reviews, product reviews. We got all kinds of goodies over there. So if you're just following or coming across this on YouTube, that's what we are there too. So check it out, and we will see you next week, everybody. Anybody have any shout outs you want to say, Dana?
Shout outs to everyone listening, and shout outs to The Walking Dead.
There you go.
Crew
Rich?
people. For Miss Show.
Oh, Miss Show. Oh, that's a whole other thing, man. Don't get me started. The show's almost over. All right, Rich, what about you?
Oh, yeah. Shout outs to all the listeners. Everybody. Just hope everybody is in good spirits despite what's going on now, and looking forward to doing more shows in the future.
Yep. Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe. This is a crazy time, but unlike The Walking Dead, at least we don't have to worry about that happening. At least now, that would be horrific if there's something like this happened. Then again, this is crazy. All right, everybody. See you next week. Peace.